You ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network, watching us on Broadway World or over on all of our socials like YouTube. I hope you like, comment, share, subscribe, tell somebody about the Roundtable. And I'm grateful you're here. It's a show where artists talk about art. So I got an email. It scares me, America. Well, everything about America scares me. But what I will say is that I get scared sometimes when I realize people watch this mess, because you could see a little number on YouTube or Broadway World could tell you how many people watch. But then sometimes people reach out and say, hey, I've seen your show, or hey, I like your show, or hey, I'm an artist and I want to come on your show. And then I remember, like, it's not just my mom watching out here. There are actually people who watch this messy mess. And apparently our next guest was watching or wanted to watch or checked us out and is a writer, like a teenage writer. The only thing I wrote was fraudulently writing my mom's signature on my report cards when I was her age. She's 16. 16, and she wrote a musical called 355 about war-torn 18th century New York City. Like Gossip Girl meets Bridgerton, meets Taylor Swift, meets the Roundtable. Maddie Price, what? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for reaching. Firstly, I'm so inspired. I teach in real life. I teach, middle school and high school. And I love people who take initiative and say, hey, I'm a writer. I'm writing the next Broadway show and you should know me. And I think that's how you become successful, Maddie.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved your podcast and really just the Broadway Podcast Network as a whole. And as the show's been developing, I just thought, why not shoot my shot?
Always. Come on, all the time. So firstly, thank you for listening to us. It really terrifies me. I get in trouble with BPN all the time because I don't always have the most professional, classy show. Sometimes we're just a big old mess here. But thank you for loving our mess. And I love how professional and you are. And shoot your shot. That's how it all started for me as well. So where do you live, Maddie?
I'm based in Austin, Texas.
You're based in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, it's fun, but New York is my home at heart.
Okay, got it. So when you think of Broadway and musical theater, you don't always think Austin, Texas is a cool place nowadays.
Yeah, but no, definitely my mind doesn't go straight to, Broadway and all that.
My good friend Kristen, Capote's always listens, and she's in Austin, Texas as well. So it's a cool, hot and popping place. But what made you fall in love with theater? Like, what about theater in Austin was like, these are my people?
Yeah, I mean, it started when I was a kid. So I have loved theater for forever. And I actually started acting just because Hamilton had been released and I just knew I loved it so much. My cousin connected me with the studio and I acted for a while. And as I kind of continued in my theater career, I realized I didn't want to just act. I wanted to create and to make something really amazing. And that's when I kind of started diving into playwriting and songwriting and all those other things.
Okay, and you know what? You are of the age and generation where Hamilton really, it changed the way people look at musical theater, the exposure people had to musical theater. So don't mind the dog. I told you we're a messy show, Maddie. If you're listening to us, the dog comes in this interview all the time. So you start writing, but Maddie, it's one thing to sing, it's one thing to act, it's one thing to take a piano lesson or pretend to play the guitar, but it's another thing to write a musical.
Yeah, it was definitely a really big undertaking. I knew I wanted to do it in middle school, but I actually didn't start till my freshman year of high school. So it's been 3 years now. And luckily, I actually go to a school where they support us doing really challenging and big passion projects. And so from the beginning, I knew I wanted to make this musical. And I just kind of dove right in. It has definitely been a learning process because I'm 16. Like not most 16-year-olds are playwrights or do any of this stuff. But yeah, it's been really cool. And luckily I've had many, many supportive people to help me along my journey.
Who are you? Can you teach my students how to be like you? Please teach me how to be like you, Maddie. Maddie Price. Okay, so you write him. So is this is 355 the first musical you wrote? Have you been writing it and tinkering? How long is it? How many songs? How do you write a song? Do you play an instrument?
I do. My dad's actually very musical. So since I was in diapers, I've been playing the piano. Now, I'm no expert. And so this is where the heart of the musical really came in. When I started creating it, like you said, Austin doesn't have like a super big theater community. So I kind of loved the idea of getting to build my own. So I immediately got to work on the script. And the playwriting has always kind of been my thing. But as for songwriting and really just all the other parts of the show, I knew I wanted collaboration. So I headed straight to TikTok. I started researching and I found other teens worldwide. And I have been working with a group of songwriters for the past few months. And I think right now we're 5 or 6 songs in. But, it's hard. We're teenagers and in high school. So we got some other stuff to do. But we've been, really working on it. And it's been a really cool opportunity. Actually, for the show itself, I've been, rewriting and figuring it out. Like I said, it's been a learning process. And so I'm on my 4th draft of the script. But I'm actually planning on doing a reading in NYC in a few months. So that's kind of the next big milestone for the show. But, just chugging away, working through it all.
Okay, well, I'm gonna help however I can help you. You want big fancy producers to come? I know you know some. I know people have. We got you. I've got you covered, Maddie. We're gonna take care of you. We gotta make you a big old star, win a Tony Award, make lots of money, retire me, and then that's how it's gonna work. So what? So you're collaborating with other people, TikTok theater influencers and writers and songwriters and people who love theater. And where did the idea for this show? Tell us, what is the show about and where did the idea come from?
Mhm. The show itself is about a female spy in the American Revolution named Agent 355. It's inspired by the true story of Agent 355. However, her identity itself was never actually revealed. So I kind of took history at the time and filled in the lines with what she could have done. And the inspiration for the show was actually based on Anastasia. When I knew I wanted to write a musical and I was going to get started, I actually had just gone and seen Anastasia. And I just loved the idea of how she's kind of this underrated woman in history, and her story just got told in such a beautiful way. And so I actually just took to Google and started researching different women whose stories haven't really been told. And I immediately got my eye caught when I saw Agent 355 because I was like, why doesn't she have a name? And then I just went down this rabbit hole. Turns out George Washington had this spy group, the first American spies, that were so successful that most of their identities never got revealed, and their training methods are actually used for the CIA today. So it was really laying out the network and the whole way that spying kind of works in America today. And I just thought it was such an intriguing story. I kind of knew from that moment that it was the story I had to tell.
So it's the character base. It's based on some facts. It's based on some truth. It's got some of your imagination, and you created a world and a story and what you think this agent is like. And how would you describe the music?
The music itself, I say, is very Gen Z singer-songwriter. I mean, we're all teens. We get on FaceTime, we pull out our guitars and pianos and just start, playing whatever we think feels right. So a lot of the music is taking inspiration from like more modern songwriters like Gracie Abrams, Taylor Swift, all these really popular songwriters, but it also does have some more grassroots bluesy hints in it because one of my songwriters, she's from Missouri and she loves kind of adding in some of that, and I think that's a really fun part. Each of the songs and each of the kind of characters has their own energy and style that they sing in, because I really like the idea of highlighting little bits and taking homages and all that stuff from kind of a lot of different genres.
This is so exciting. I'm so excited about it. Do you get discouraged because a lot of times people talk about how hard it is to break into this business or how many years it takes to put a show on Broadway or off Broadway or on a tour? And also, people are very pessimistic about art, and I hate that, man. I'm sure you get pushback. Like, what are
Yeah,
you going to do? So,
definitely.
how do you confront that fear or those people when they speak to you about it?
Yeah. I mean, it's been hard. When I first decided I wanted to, become a playwright, I looked it up. I read a few articles, and I think like the third article I read, it said, if you want to become a playwright, don't. And I was like, okay, it's a great start. But over the past few years, yeah, there's definitely been pushback, partially because it's like a teenager. And also there have just been a lot of people who are just like, you just can't do this. Like this isn't a thing because you're too young, it takes too much time, and I'm so new. I mean, like this is a lot of these things that I'm doing, they're all my firsts. And I don't have a professional education. I didn't like go to Juilliard. So it is a very like unique thing that I'm trying, but what I found is that there are so many new outlets in the age of media that we can use to our advantage, especially as teens, to really create amazing things. And I think that nobody's still really taking it seriously. Like TikTok is literally my home for creating this show because I mean, you've seen different TikTok musicals that have actually gotten really popular, even though they honestly started as a joke. Like Ratatouille, the musical that was made during COVID, actually spiraled into a really cool project. And so I think there are ways. And what I found is I'm not going to be able to take the traditional path. And I don't really want to, if that makes sense. Like I know there are different things and different doors that are just going to be closed when I get to them. But I found that with media and with everything, I can open those doors, get around it. Like there's so many different ways to do just follow instead of just following the traditional structure that, most people have followed in the past.
Well, I can tell you this much. During the pandemic, when Ratatouille the musical was out, we had them on, and they are stars that came out of the time. If you look at the Bridgerton musical, and we've had her on, they're people that have all been creative. I don't think, Maddie, like when I was growing up, you needed an agent, you need to go to Telsey Casting, you need to book a Broadway show, you need to have a ton of money. Nowadays, you don't need the yes. You can be your own yes. You can create your own content, and then they will come to you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I'm really just trying to show teenagers that that's what they can do. It doesn't have to be just some dumb 60-second video that they post. It can actually mean something if they really want it to.
So I read when you sent me your email that you have been featured, like the show has been featured on the Today Show. You've met with producers. How do you get the word out? Like, how did all that happen?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all come down to networking. And when I spent the first year working on the show, I just, worked on the script and rewrote the script. And I realized I'd never really be done creating the show, but there's no harm in just reaching out. So in 2 days, I sent out like 50 DMs and emails just to all the people in theater that I knew and I loved. And then ever since then, I've really just been working on, like I said, shooting my shot, messaging who I can, and just doing my best to, play with any connection that I have, any person who might know someone who knows someone, because in the end, like that is kind of what theater is. It's really just one big family. And so I've really been trying to, tap into that and use that to my advantage. And, if they don't get back to me, they don't get back to me. But in the end, I wouldn't be on this wonderful podcast if I didn't reach out to you.
Well,
So, yeah.
People have asked me, I teach musical theater. I have done musical theater. I'm old and retired from that now, but doing this show, and people say, how do you get started? And I always say, like, find the people you love. And then, especially if they're up and coming and they're new, and say, I love your work. Can we have a cup of coffee? Can we have a Zoom phone call? Can I hear how you work? Just reaching out. You'd be amazed how many people will say no. And that 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 people that say yes. That's my advice, even about people who want to start a podcast or a talk show. Like, it just starts small and it rolls. And the same with you. You started it, and this baby's going to roll, and we're going to see where it leads you. So you come to New York sometimes to see shows?
Mm-hmm. I love getting to go. My brother used to live there, so I had an automatic excuse, but I still love to just go over, try to network, go to
So
some meetings.
yes. Have you seen recent shows? Do you have favorite Broadway people? Like, can you share some faves?
Yeah. Let me think. I haven't been since last year, so I
Okay.
need to get back up there, but I actually saw a lot of shows when I was there. One of my most recent favorites was New York, New York.
Mhm,
I saw that and I just was enchanted. I
mhm.
thought the whole show itself was really a beautiful homage to just kind of older theater and all of that. But I have to say, because I am Gen Z, I love Six. It is one of my favorite shows. Like literally every cast has just held up. I've seen it when it toured in Austin, on Broadway, just because I think it really does show kind of what the future of shows can be, or just really a different path that shows can take, because it is really unique. But yeah, in terms of actors, I mean, I'm in awe of all Broadway and theater actors. The show that really showed me that I wanted to be an actor was when I saw Mean Girls the musical. Erica Henningsen just like wowed me. Like I knew I wanted to be like that. But yeah, I've been so lucky to see a lot of shows over the years, and there are definitely some really good shows on my list when I come in December.
Erica Henningsen, you could be Katie. You could be in Mean Girls. Maddie, I'm ready.
Love that.
I love that answer. And Toby Marlowe and Lucy Moss, who wrote Six, they were on Broadway at like 19 years old, Maddie. So don't let anybody stop you from going out there and doing what you're doing, for sure. I think you are ahead of the game more so than you even know or think. So you were funny. I thought of my friend Matt Gould wrote Lampika. He's a good friend of mine, and he always used to say, if you want to be on Broadway, you want to be a writer, and you want to, or there's anything else you like to do, then do that. But if you wake up every day and the only thing you want to do is write a show on Broadway or be in a show on Broadway, and that's your passion, then you have no choice but to go out there and do it. So that's it, Maddie. You have no choice but to go out there and do it. So what's next for you? Besides graduating high school, what's next for you, and what can we do to support?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what's next, right now, really focused on finishing the show. The goal is to be done in March so that I can move more into, the production end. Like I said, I'm doing a reading in December in NYC at Open Jar, which will be really fun. And I'm really excited for that. I'm trying to kind of use it as like an influencer event as well as, a reading of the show. Cause I think, again, like the goal of just connecting teens and especially teen creators, like no matter what, something awesome will come out of it. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm just taking it day by day, figuring out, rolling with the punches and everything. But yeah, just I guess yeah, really finishing the show, graduating high school. It's on the list of things
Yes.
to do.
Well, you have to keep us posted about when and where when your workshop's going to be, or when the information's going to be out and about. Maybe I'll be back in New York and I'll have to swing by. We'll have to figure something out. I'm so proud of you, and I just met you. What does your family think of all this?
I mean, they love it. They have been so supportive since the beginning. I mean, I'll come home and I'll just be so tired, and they'll be like, "What is it?" I'm like, "Oh, this person." It was like this whole thing because I'm a songwriter and teenagers are hard to manage a lot of the time. But yeah, I mean, they have really helped me. I couldn't have done it without them.
Do you have a dream person to play 355?
Oh, I'd say myself, but that's definitely a little ambitious.
No.
Right now, my main focus has been writing, but an actress I recently got connected with who I just love is Echo Picone. She's very talented in NYC, and so I'm definitely trying to get her involved.
Okay. Well, you could still do it. She could do it. You can do it. Everyone can have a chance to do it.
Exactly.
All right. So can we follow you? Is there social media for the show, or how can we be a part of it?
Yes, right now I'm not very active, but I'm on TikTok at Dramatalena, and I'm starting to just share updates like every day of just even like the little details of what I'm doing, just to kind of have that documented and get to just show the world what making a musical as a 16-year-old in high school is like.
So, all right. So we'll put the link below, and or if you're listening to us, you'll be able to see it. So you can follow her on TikTok. She's going to be a big old star. And then you're going to remember when she was here. And when she wins a Tony, she's going to thank us. And then that's we're excited. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I hope you come back whenever you want to keep us updated. If you email me, or if I see you over on TikTok and I see that you are doing something new and exciting, my show is your show anytime. We want to watch your rise and be a part of it.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. I love getting to just kind of share my message and connect with other theater nerds like me.
If I hear you, if there are a theater nerd out there that wants to get more involved or feels like they're in an area that's not super musical theater, they feel like the outcast theater nerd somewhere. Do you have any advice or parting words you can say to make them feel like there's a place for them in this world?
Yeah, I mean, just don't use social media badly, but just take to TikTok. The community's there. It might be a little hard to find, and but once you find it, it just keeps growing and expanding, and it is just so worth it.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations.
For having me.
Let's go. Now I'm gonna have to like hashtag all the hashtags like theater nerd, musical theater kid, musical theater kids who are nerds, nerdy musical. But I'm one myself. That's what I follow. So I'm here for it all. I'm excited. Much love to your family. They've raised you well, and we are excited for the future. So thanks for being here.
Amazing. Thank you so much.